So first things first, on the temple board, here we go. Underneath, I've taken off one of the side panels there, and I have drawn around it on a piece of hardboard or whatever you call it to make my own template, basically. And then I'm going to cut in here where my external sockets are going to go. So they're going to go sideways along here. 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. Obviously, it's only the whole width of around there I have to cut or drill through, and then these bits will just screw into like here and here, and then these bits have marked the holes where the original ones were. Sorry if that's gone blurry, there and there, so it can screw directly back into the board. Simple as that. So I've cut out the template, I've put the screws in and just screwed it into the side. What I'm going to do now is measure out these on the outside, the actual points to drill them in and the actual holes to push those bits through. So I have lined up the 3 XLR sockets on the outside, and I've screwed them down to mark the holes basically, so that I know where they're going to be screwed for the outside. This is obviously be taken off and then put on the inside, but this is just purely to mark the screw holes, so I know how big and the position of the XLR input will be for the other side for the cable to go through, basically. Not the cable, sorry, this bit, shaft should we call it. This, I was going to mount it on the inside, but then I thought, okay, there's going to be pressure going that way, so I thought, right, let's just mount it to the actual board itself. So I've drilled a couple of holes, and this is the plug that's going to go on there. It's got a little hello thing on there, and then those two things, I've measured up the holes to go on there. There's going to be a little gap in the top, so I've got a little bit of more of this stuff. What I'll do is I'll paint these to kind of match that, like the gunmetal grey, and it will sit on the inside above the thing that I've got. So basically, sorry, I got it upside down, but it'll just sit in there so that it looks flush, basically. But there we go. So these are going to come off now, or rather I'm going to look on the inside, mark where the holes need to be. I've already drilled through, so if I get on the inside, so I've drilled through in the center points, so you can see where the starting points are. There's 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll just widen those holes up a little bit, and then those screws coming through will turn into nuts and bolts, so there's no sharp edges or anything like that. And then there will be another one of these one of these that I put in on this side, which will be an XLR, no sorry, there'll be a jack out, which will be, where is it, there we go. So it would just be that little fella, there's only one there, and that will be just for an output going to an amp. So the reason why I've got 3 here, you might be asking, is we've got 2 coming from the Fractal, which is left and right, and then the third one is from a vocal microphone processor thing. So it's basically a mic cable for me singing. Not that I can sing, but that's that. And if I ever wanted to change around the board, what I could do is wet, dry, wet, and then XLR out. The reason why I haven't got an XLR in on the other side is because I will be using a wireless. So there we go. So that's it so far. So these are about to come off. check out the size of the holes on the inside, turn it around, and job done. So I positioned the three XLR inputs and did a basic drill through based on their positioning, and now I'm using this little fella here to just kind of widen it bit by bit, slowly but surely, to make sure I don't take too much out, so that these little fellas fit through. At the moment the ends fit through. Just got to get this little bit, just make it a little bit wider. It's only take a couple of minutes, quite soft to get through, and then we are done, and then I can mount them and get them sorted. This is now done there, so that's what it's looked like. This screw on this side was tricky to get in because there's hardly any room on the inside to get the bolt in to the other side, so I did a little trick where I got a pencil, and on the end of the pencil I just had a bit of blue tack or white tack, what you want to call it, this little fella here. So I just put that on the end of the pencil, put the bolt on there so it stuck to the pencil, pushed the pencil into place, and then screwed the top against it. Tricky little thing to get in, but yeah, got it on there with the help of a bit of blue tack. Blue tack, everyone's best friend. There we go. So I've made my template out of the wood. It's kind of got the basic holes in there, and then once they get onto the actual piece that I'm going to be using in the pedal board itself, in these little bits, these holes will be bigger. What I don't want to do is oversize this, make it weak, because it's kind of like, it's still got its, you know, still not bending or anything like that. The ends are a bit knackered, but it's just a template. So what I thought was Lego. This whole board is like lots of holes, it's modular, and what else is modular? Lego. I thought, yes, look, holes and bumps and holes. Lovely. So basically I've got a couple of these. What I'm going to do is super glue those bits down to make them a little bit more rigid, and then put a little extra bits on here to make them, you know, make it like one size all the way through, because it's kind of like lots of little bits. You can see these two top bits there and two bottom bits. So I've got to make that stronger. I've got one in here already that I have marked up. Now, what I tried to do earlier as well, I used an old vinyl record, and I thought, well, yeah, you know, does that work? One piece was too thin. I sandwiched two pieces together, and just where they're a bit too flexible, they were cracking the super glue in between them, so that wasn't a good idea either. So I put the Lego one in here just to see kind of what it's like. I've kind of set up the XLR sockets in position, so basically each one goes like sideways rather than like, ideally they'd be that way, but for some reason they're not big enough, so they have to go sideways. But there we go, it's a small thing. And what I did was mark on the actual temper board in pencil where each one stops. You can see with the big line there, and then these little lines are where I have to drill the hole to make space for this to actually pass through there, for example. Okay, so that's it. I used a little, I've got a little white marker thing which is quite useful on the black, and yeah, it's kind of Lego, kind of looks a bit different, a bit, I don't know opinions on whether that looks cool or not. I doubt it. It's definitely not cool actually, but it does the job. So I'm going to go and go ahead, drill that, see what it's like once I've drilled it. Sorry, I'll super glue it first, then drill it, and see how we get on. You'll notice on the actual other one that I've got is these little overhangs here. These little bits here fit perfectly. I punched those through, and the screws go exactly the right size for the actual piece. So let me get the actual piece for you. Sorry, there we go. So, oh, sorry, I'll get it straight. There we go, bang on. So, there we go. Try that for yourself. So, I tried making a template out of Lego because the vinyl one was just not strong enough. It was bending in the middle, so I knew if I put pressure on XLRs going in and out, it would not hold up. So here's my template and whatnot, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know what's really strong is Lego. So I put one together, and that's just like a template thing. It's got gaps in it and stuff, but just for kind of for sizing and what have you, and it was exactly the right size. So here's one, a proper one. So that one, it just kind of gaps so that I knew where the drill points would be exactly, and you know, height wise and what have you. And then I made one without gaps and then properly drilled it so it was solid, and here we go. So that's it basically. So the other one goes in like that, just pushes through, and then, sorry, I'm doing this one-handed, then they'll sit on there like that. That's, sorry, it does go straight when I'm doing it with two hands. Okay, anyway, imagine like I'm doing this two-handed and putting it in straight, and they get screwed in like that basically. There we, hang on, right, yeah, it's awkward with one hand, but that just kind of sits in there. It really does, trust me. I think I need to put that one in first, actually. There it is. Is that it? There we go. No, but yeah, and then it gets screwed down. Bob's your uncle. That's the inside. Sorry, there we go, nice and kind of neat, if you can see that. Sorry, getting blurry. There we go, nice and neat-ish. And the screws go through the little bits where there's a like a Lego knob. And there we go. So Lego does the trick. The parts of the Lego are super glued together to make the template. It's only like 2 pieces thick. Is that coming apart there ever slightly? Yeah, so I need to re-glue that bit there just to make it a bit more sturdy, and that's it. So that will fit in the side. And here's one I prepared earlier. So there's the sideboard, whatever you want to call it, and this is one which is just has the jack in and out, and then the locking part of it. Nice and solid, it's not going to go anywhere. That's it. So there we go, and that's the little thing there. I might put some Lego in here on the inside just to kind of, you know, Lego it up. The other thought I had is mounting stuff, pedals on the actual board itself, using Lego for that as well, potentially. I don't know. I'm in the Lego mood. There we go. So that's the next stage. So that's it all screwed in. There we go, nice and tight. Couple of screws that are nice and long, just to make sure that it stays nice and tight, because that's what we want. We don't want any kind of like flexiness. A little bit of flex is fine, but this is kind of solid as a rock. Just got to re-glue that bit there, like I said in the previous bit. And there we go. That's it. That's going in now. So that's it, screwed in there, nice and solid as a rock. It's not going anywhere. And that's how it looks now from the side. So you've got the power, 3 XLRs, 1, 2, 3. And that, what I'm going to do is run a bit of tape across the top with what each one is, so that it's a really quick setup. I've got a cable snake thing that's got everything labeled anyway, so it's just going to go click 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 click, done. So that's pretty cool. I'm ready to fire up basically. So without further ado, let's have a look at how we get the pedals on here. Let's see if we can rustle up some fun with Lego.